Hello, welcome to the first episode of this little mini-series making a 3D website for a bike company, Genesis. So, I have a bike called the Genesis Tour de Faire 20, and I wanted to make a 3D website for it, and I'm just going to take you along behind the scenes of that whole process and how it came to be, if at all interested. So, what I do first is research, then I can do lo-fi design and then hi-fi design. So research just includes taking a load of images and references, looking at animations, looking at different websites, and then I've got something to go off. Because I think a lot of the time people look at a 3D website and they're like, wow, let's start with the 3D object. And actually, I think what you need to do is to have a wider picture than just looking at the 3D object. And be like, okay, wait, what are we trying to do here? What's the kind of overarching brand identity and how's that going to affect the treatment on the 3D object? And how is that going to fit into the rest of the scene? Okay, so we've got Genesis. We've already got quite a good idea of their brand identity from looking at their website. The app that I'm using or that I use the most for these is Colorzilla. So I can obviously click on the colors from the website with this app, which is super helpful. I've also got this one turned on, which is called Font Book. What that means is that I can hover over any text on any website and it will just show me the different fonts that are being used. We've got pop-ins, we've got System UI. And then the other the other tool that I use quite a lot is this one called Go Full Page. Now, if you click Go Full Page on any website page, it'll basically do a massive screen capture, and it will mean that you've got something that you can bring into Figma as an image. You can comment on it, and you can get a really good sense of what a full page looks like. Sometimes when there's animations, it messes up this screenshot, but I mean, it does the job for the vast majority of websites, and it's super, super helpful to get a gauge. Now, where do you actually find different websites? Like, where can you find creative websites like this one? Probably my favorite gallery is this one. It's called A1 Gallery, and it has an amazing array of different websites that are all really creative, quite interesting. If you click on one, then you can actually just save the image, bring that into Figma, and then do the similar process of commenting, working out what you like, what you don't like, what works, what doesn't work. And if you actually want to view the site, then you can obviously just click there and get a sense of how the animations look, what's going on more generally. Okay, interesting website. So that's one reference. There's awards. Some of the websites are super experimental, and they're not always... I don't really understand why they're award-winning sometimes. But either way, interesting references to look at in here. There's Mobbin. I really like looking at like creative code websites as well. So there's this one called Off-Screen Canvas. And there's some really interesting like examples of different how you can use code creatively to get some really interesting results. But they've also got like deep dives into different websites. So yeah, very, very cool reference. Then I think it's worth looking at some top agencies and be like, okay, what have they done recently? So we've got Ragged Edge, we've got Koto here. There's tons of different amazing agencies. One that I really like is called Refocus. And yeah, these guys have insane work as well. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of different agencies that you can look at the work of as well. And I definitely think like spread, like don't just look at A1 Gallery, don't just, look at or be inspired by one particular project that you find. Take a lot of references, screenshot stuff, look at animations, look at text, look at colors, and then once you've got a load of different references, you'll have something really, really solid to go off, and you can kind of work out what the brand identity is of the project that you're working on. You might just be like, Jack, they've got a brand identity. Why wouldn't you just stick to that? And it's actually like, sometimes I find brands have brand identities which just feel quite limiting, I guess, or like don't let you explore as much as maybe you'd want. Maybe the ideas that you have allow. So, and like I say, this is more of an experimental website. It's a 3D website for one particular bike on Genesis' website. This is not meant to be like, I'm going to replace your whole website with this crazy concept thing. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. So, in my opinion, I feel like it's healthy to have license to play. And if there's something that you want to change, I recommend going for it. Okay, I'm going to now put together this mood board for the Genesis website. We'll reconvene once I've got somewhere. Okay? Okay, we're back. So, I wanted to show you some of this mood board now that I've got a little bit further. I've got a load of screenshots, and I've also created this Pinterest board. So, your board will probably look completely different, but some websites that I was looking at, there's one called Relats, which has the most insane scroll animations. So it's got this video at the down into an image which gets smaller. Maybe that's using GSAP. I don't know. Then you've got this section. I mean, this is all on scroll. Zoom right into a particular part of the thing we're looking at here. And then we've got these like gradient overlay boxes, like this kind of frosted glass effect, which is kind of interesting. Might be part of this new or refreshed identity that I'm going to be doing for the Tour de Fer bike. Who knows? Then I was looking at some social stuff, and this guy, don't know how to pronounce it, well, Dan Jones, but I don't know how to pronounce his Denge. But yeah, really interesting use of like bold, saturated color with image overlay, image background. And then we've also got like, you can see higher up, he seems to have got a completely different filter over here. But then as you go up, see how we've got this like kind of, I don't know what it is, like retro feeling filter. I thought that was a really cool touch. I love this font as well. We've also got loads of inspo in here. I was looking at editorial style. I was looking at kind of a scrapbook aesthetic, which I thought was really nice. A lot of hand-drawn elements. And then also, I love these little drawings, which I think even I could do. I'm not sure, but some things to play around with, I think, is like this gradient textured overlay. I absolutely love that. I love this blurred photography style. But equally, I really like this flash photography. Again, it gives it a kind of like retro aesthetic with like a disposable camera. So what I'm thinking of doing is having like, imagine being on a bike trip, you get muddy, you get rained on. I don't want it to look like, oh my God, this is so pleasant and it like, amazingly beautiful. I want it to be like raw. Because that's my experience of cycling is like, you fall off your bike, you cut your leg, you get back on, it's wet, it's raining, it's horrible. And I think like that's more reflective of the type of cycling that I like to do and the type of landscapes that I really like cycling in is in Wales, or, around the southwest of England, with the Mendips, and it's a lot less like clean, I guess. And I feel like representing that in the design will be really important. Also, because Genesis is a UK-based brand, you know, it's better to not be like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like sport influencing has kind of, you know, this like having a coffee in the sun, wearing your sports clothes type stuff feels very disingenuous compared to something that's like raw, you know? So anyway, that's the direction that I'm going to be taking this. What I've got is loads and loads of reference images in here, and I've obviously got a lot of different ideas in here. So next step will be design. See you in the next video. Ciao.